So, Spencer,
Yes, Al.
how's the drive?
Well, honestly, it went a lot worse than expected.
Do you do you want to talk about it?
No, no, not really.
All right, sounds good.
And welcome everyone to episode number 13 of The Outrage. It's myself, Spencer Byers, along with Alain Kevio.
What's going on?
How's your internship been? Right? We last episode, we ended up, ending just before. We're now here at our internships. Technically, we're actually here at the Sportsnet studios. So we're using your fine facilities as you actually have access to them.
Yeah, I'm very thankful. My boss was pretty kind. I thought I was gonna need a little bit more persuading than that, but I didn't, thankfully. And now we are here. And man, is it ever chaos outside or what?
Yeah. So what Al and I were talking about before the show? Well, technically before the show. Al gave me a parking lot to park at because we are downtown Toronto.
Yes.
Like literally as downtown as you can probably get.
Like you can hear the horns. Like I'm on the third floor in the building, and all we can hear is the horns. Like I was talking with Ben Smith and even Blair and Barker. Like they're on their show now, but it was kind of funny because everyone's like, "Man, what's going on outside? Like, is it raining?" It's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's why everyone's honking. As soon as things hit the fan around here. Okay, no pun intended. But anyways, as soon as things hit the fan around here, weather-wise, people all of a sudden just poof. Magically forget how to drive.
Well, no, they don't know how to drive regardless. It's just when the weather gets worse, the worse driving gets somehow. It manages to get worse.
Yeah, it just like translates to the driving and the steering wheel and the control
and the person controlling the controller.
All the fun stuff, but nevertheless, we're here. It's been 3 weeks now since
something like that
since we last recorded an episode. I mean,
would have been the last week of May.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if this was going to happen or not, to be honest, because like we've both been pretty busy. We both have our internships, and I just realized too that you asked me how it was going, and I completely just dodged the question and was like, "Yeah, I'm thankful my boss let me have this studio."
Yeah, you literally pulled an NBA draft pick, thanking God immediately.
We're
glory to God. Like I was literally going to say, I'm so sick of hearing somebody say, thank you so much to this person. I don't want to hear that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Act like you've been here before.
I mean, I've been here for a couple weeks now. So, I mean, where was I going with this? This is great. Oh, yeah. NBA. So that's not where I was going.
Where were you going?
I don't know. What were we talking about?
We were talking about, I was saying you rejected my question of how are you doing here?
How it's going. That's right. It's going pretty good. I'm doing a lot of radio editing, which is fine because Burley is my homie. Unlike this Adobe software that we're using right now, it's a pain in the butt. So moral of the story is, okay, Spencer came in at around 3:30. It is currently 4:04 on June 23rd. 2023. And put it this way. He came in at 3:30 and it took me about 15, almost 20 minutes to figure out how this setup works because while the gadgets are a little different compared to the other studios that I'm used to seeing since I've been here, and I haven't used Adobe Audition since, my days in Huntsville.
Yeah,
no,
never.
I've worked with Adobe before, so I'll have to play with it a little bit more, but yeah, it's not fun. Let's just put it that way. It's very, very tricky and figuring out how. Anyways, I'm not a fan of it. So, lineup today: Stanley Cup Final is over. The Vegas Golden Knights
crowned Stanley Cup champs.
Some news on the Board of Governors meeting that happened in the National Hockey League. More specifically, Pride jerseys are a topic again.
Well, especially jerseys in general.
Jerseys in general, yeah. Raptors.
The draft just happened yesterday, technically.
Yeah.
The 22nd of June.
Drafted Grady Dick.
Out of Kansas. He was a Jayhawk.
Yeah. And then the Blue Jays, they had a rough road trip. Thankfully, they're back in Toronto tonight. 3-game stand against the Oakland Athletics, soon to be Las Vegas A's.
Whatevers. Yeah, the whatevers.
It sounds like they're going to keep their trademark.
No, they're changing. They're got to change the name. They can't keep the name, the Athletics. We'll get into that later.
And Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler once again making headlines, all for the wrong reasons once again. It sounds like Conor McGregor is ducking Chandler, but first,
He's stuck in everybody. Come on now.
Spencer, I got a really good kicker story for you.
Yeah, no doubt, Al. You really like kickers.
It's amazing. I love kickers. This is gonna be a fun one. We're gonna keep it short, and then we'll get to the bigger stuff.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet indeed. Did you know Elon Musk wants to fight Mark Zuckerberg? And it sounds like it's going to happen. By the way, for those of you who don't know this, Elon Musk is the Tesla guy and the owner of Twitter. Officially. And Mark Zuckerberg is the dude who invented Facebook.
And the owner of Meta, which technically also owns Instagram.
Yeah.
So media moguls.
Yeah, two rich people.
2 billionaires.
2 billionaires that run media companies, very popular media companies, want to fight.
The most popular media companies, if you will.
Yeah, and it sounds like they accepted a fight in the cage. I want to know your thoughts on this because honestly, I think this is just. At first, I was like, nah, there's no way this is happening. But then more tweets started coming out, and then Zuckerberg is like,
Dana
name
White
a location.
said something, and
yeah, everybody's getting involved. Jake Paul wants to promote the fight. You know what? Out of everything that Jake Paul's done so far, I'm okay with this.
Well, I can tell you Dana White actually called both involved because obviously, as everyone who heard the, I'm assuming, Twitter spat, no one believed that this was going to be an outcome. And then Dana White called both Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and said, hey, are you guys serious about this? And they said, yeah. So he's 100% serious. Dana White wants to promote this particular fight. And I will tell you right now, Al, if it is a cage fight between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk is going to get rinsed because Mark Zuckerberg is a does do jujitsu. I believe might be a black belt. Yes, he
I didn't know that.
actually trains jujitsu.
That is
so
interesting.
if they fight in a cage, he's going to get mauled.
Game over.
But if it is a boxing match, Musk might have a chance.
Okay,
might have a chance.
I think it's hilarious. I think they're there's something there, and it sounds like they might end up doing it for charity too. So that'd be a plus. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they need more money, don't they?
Sure. I mean, yeah, they could.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean,
Maybe
they're not you.
They don't need it. Actually, you know what's funny? Never mind. We're not going to go into that. Stanley Cup Final. Oh, I didn't really want to spend much time. I think it's hilarious. I think it's a joke, and I think what I do like though is at least when like big time names on social media platforms, or in this case, the ones that run those social media platforms, say they want to fight. At least they like back it up and actually make it happen. Like that's the one thing.
Unlike Conor McGregor, ironically, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, we'll get to him in an instant. I have a. It's actually annoying.
Oh no, it's been getting ridiculous.
Annoying. And we'll talk about how he punched out a mascot too, and that turned out really well for him afterwards. But so Stanley Cup Final. Where do you want to go with this? Because it's funny. We're like, oh, I'm gonna host, meaning Spencer, and
immediately Al takes over as he always does.
It's weird how it works that way. But anyways, okay, go ahead, Spencer.
Wait,
sorry.
so you want me to start, or do you want me to intro you?
No, don't intro me. Oh yeah, hey, Here's Al. He's about to talk about hockey.
Well, the thing he likes the most, other than beer, hockey.
That's fair.
Probably the only thing.
You know what? That's a really good intro, Spencer.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So, Al, what did you make of the Stanley Cup Final? Obviously, I'm not sure if you and I ended up picking between Florida and Vegas. I know I picked Florida no matter what.
I had Vegas because,
you ended up picking the winner.
Yeah.
Did you see the final ending the way it did? Because Aiden Hill was the story of that series. Yeah, Marchessault wins the Conn Smythe. Jonathan Marchessault, who was on the original team from the original
part of the
expansion
Misfits.
drafts. It's part of the expansion draft. Then the Marks don't get to hoist the cup as he's the captain. But Aiden Hill was the factor in that series. He played out of his mind in this playoff run, especially in the final. And without him, or any one of those goalies, because it seemed like no matter who they put in net, they got really good goaltending throughout this playoff.
Which is crazy because I thought for sure
that would be the downfall.
I was like, there's no way. Like, it's your fourth string goaltender.
Fifth. Because people are forgetting Marvin Lehner been hurt all year. So he's fifth.
Okay, but he hasn't played.
Yeah, but he's still their first string goalie.
I don't care. He wasn't. Where was he? He's not
hurt.
there.
He was hurt.
They used
like everybody else.
Lehner's name is actually not going on the cup. I'm pretty sure it isn't. You have to play a certain amount of games with a team in a regular season in order to win a cup. Paul Cotter played 55 games with the Vegas Golden Knights in the regular season. He's getting a ring. He's a cup champ. His name's going on the cup. He contributed. Robin Lehner was nowhere to be found.
Well, he probably had to sell it regardless because he's declaring bankruptcy.
Jeez. Anyways, okay, whatever. Lehner was not there for me. Even if he is officially there, even if they do decide to put it, I don't care. All right? For me, it's Logan Thompson, Jonathan Quick, Laurent Brossoit, and now Aiden Hill. And as soon as Brossois went down in, was it the conference finals?
Yeah, it would have
I need
been.
a refresher. It's been a while.
I believe it would have been.
It's been a while.
Actually, it might have been earlier. It might have been in Edmonton,
I think it was Edmonton.
which would have been the second round because they played Dallas in the conference finals.
Yes. Anyways, as soon as Brossois went down, I thought it was game over.
But
That's it.
I don't think anyone thought Brossois was going to be the answer, and then
No.
he played really well,
Yeah.
and then got hurt. So everyone's like, oh well, then they're definitely done now. They're on their
I
4/5
thought for sure.
string.
And then Aiden Hill just comes out of nowhere. He's like, yeah, no, I can goaltend. Which, by the way, now the fact that he was like, he was in the conversation for the Conn Smythe, this guy's going to get paid. And
Stupidly.
It's very stupidly. And I feel bad for whoever signs this guy.
No, I
because,
don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. They're idiots. Regardless of what team it is, you're an idiot.
Okay, no, but
any
that's
team
what I mean
should
by
see
I
it.
feel bad. Like
I don't feel bad. I feel bad for the fan base. I feel bad for the management who gives them too big of a contract. I don't feel bad for Peter Chiarelli trading every good player he's ever had, plus giving out stupid contracts to old men.
Fair enough. Anyways, I don't think he'll be worth whatever the number is. Like, unless it's like a small bridge deal, fine. But if you're gonna do like a 5 for 5, you're crazy.
Oh dear Lord!
And
Yeah, give him the Jack Campbell.
Someone would do that.
Give him the Jack Campbell,
okay,
please.
Dude, they gave Jordan Binnington. Sorry, I'm going there. They gave him a 6x6.
And Bennington's better than Aiden Hill.
More consistent, sure, but I mean,
And he at least had a good year. He had a good half year plus the playoff run, not just literally 13 games.
sure.
You're basing a contract off 13 games, not Bennington being great from January to June.
Yeah,
That's
but
half
then,
a year.
But then what happened? I don't care about what he did before that. Did he technically earn that contract? Yes, but has he played to the No, absolutely not.
But he still could.
Maybe.
Bennington can.
But anyways,
Aiden Hill probably can.
Aiden Hill caught me out and caught everyone off guard. I thought for sure that was it. I'm like, listen, Brossois sold me. Like, he was playing good. I'm like, you know what? He's doing what he needs to do to keep Vegas in the game. I could see it working out. And then once I saw Aiden Hill, I was like, oh, that's it. It's done. And it wasn't. And Aiden Hill would put up a .934 save percentage, which is unbelievable. I never would have thought I'd put those two things in one sentence. It was crazy. A good story. And I always say, the Cup champs usually have a really good storyline. Aiden Hill, Jonathan Marchessault were one of those. And you can maybe put like 1C as Jack Eichel, in his first season, first playoff experience, first season with the Vegas Golden Knights, to clarify, after back surgery, which people were skeptical about. And Vegas was like, no. Not only that, the ownership group, how about that? Your first press conference. Yeah, we're going to make the playoffs in this amount of time, and then we're going to win the Cup in 6 years. Like, unreal. And I will say this has been a conversation that we've had throughout these studios here, through these walls. But if you look at the teams, some teams have a hard time making business decisions. Toronto Maple Leafs with Kyle Dubas. Which, by the way, did you read the quote that came out about that guy today? Wow.
No, I didn't. What happened?
Put it this way. I'm going to paraphrase. I don't remember the exact quote, but he said.
Oh, Dubas said.
He said Toronto. Yeah, Dubas said Toronto was nice, but here feels like home, referring to Pittsburgh.
Good.
This was today.
Well, good.
So I'm honestly not that mad anymore that he left because clearly he tried to play everybody and it didn't work. I mean, it worked in terms that he's out and he bounced back.
And now he's got.
President of hockey ops now.
And now he's actually got control.
Yeah. It worked out that way. But anyways. So back to the point. The Vegas Golden Knights have been treating their style of hockey and the way they work as a business since day one. They did not care who you were, didn't care what your name was, what your accolades were. You sucked, you were gone. And now look what happened. Cup champs in 6 years. They had a business plan from the get-go. They followed it. It worked out to a T. I'm still thinking there could be something that comes out in terms of LTIR manipulation in terms of Mark Stone. I don't buy the fact that one bit that, all of a sudden the playoffs are a week away, trade deadline's over, and hey, I can play again. Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Every team does it, though. Every team does.
Which, yeah.
And if they don't, they should.
Fair.
The reality is, it's a broken rule. But the reality is, it's a broken rule everyone knows. Everyone can play it. So they're the only team that can play this Joker card is ridiculous. Every single team in the NHL can do this. Every single team can have a guy like Shea Weber on the LTIR and gain like $9 million in salary cap. They could. Doesn't mean they want to. Doesn't mean they want to pay him the money, but you could.
Yeah.
So don't act like a team that manipulates the cap like that, like Tampa did, like Chicago did, in their cup runs as of late within the last decade or so. Let's not act like other teams can't do this. They can, and most of them actively do. Like the Leafs tried with Matt Murray, for example. And yeah, Matt Murray's actually hurt because he's a Band-Aid, but that's regardless of if you have the opportunity to put guys that have substantial amounts of cap on the LTIR, you should. You should. Because it makes sense. Logically, and you can say it's ridiculous and it shouldn't be a rule, but the reality is it is. So at least use it to your advantage, because if everyone uses it, it's not broken.
Mind you, I also wonder now, too, that you're saying that, like, why I care so much about, whether they're held accountable for not if they did or didn't manipulate the cap. And now the reason why I'm thinking that is because, I mean, at the end of the day, they won the cup. They're not getting it taken away. They're just going to get a huge fine, if anything, and might lose a draft pick, like a first-round pick. But it doesn't matter. They won a cup. They don't care.
Yeah, they got the rings. Who cares?
Yeah, I just thought of that now. You know what? I don't understand why I care so much about it. But honestly, Game 5 did not see that coming. I knew Vegas was going to take care of business. I knew it. I knew. As soon as Florida won that game, I was like, that's it. They're done. Vegas has the next two. They're going to win the cup in Vegas. Sure enough, that's what happens. But, man, I did not think they were going to get shellacked like that. The Vegas Golden Knights
they were hurt. Like, and that's the sad part. Is Florida was hurt.
And they were, and I believe that.
Like Kachuk playing with a broken sternum.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Ekblad's been hurt. Like he's again another guy. I love Aaron Ekblad. Got his autograph when I was like 11 after he got drafted. He was, for some ungodly reason, he was an Owen Sound during Barry's preseason after he had been drafted, and I got a signed preseason ticket of Aaron Ekblad. And I think I still have that somewhere. I did it in pen. It was hilarious. I literally saw him get up. Al, I ran. I saw him. I pinpointed him from the beginning of the game. So he got up to go get like refreshment. So I literally jumped up out of my seat and ran and met him halfway.
So, also Sergei Bobrovsky out of juice.
Well, yeah, I think which makes sense.
I think he was tired, but at the same time, like everyone's like giving that card, like, oh, like he was tired, give him a break. Like he played a lot of games, a lot of hockey, 4 overtimes, blah blah blah.
Yeah, the overtimes were really.
But I mean, you also looked at some of the goals that Vegas scored, and you're like, man, Vegas has you figured out. Like, they were moving him post to post. The D had their heads up, their tails tucked between their legs the entire time. Like, Vegas was just fast, and they had an answer for every defensive, maneuver that Florida tried to throw at them.
And that's where you got to think if that long layoff probably hurt them. Maybe that long layoff, instead of healing them up, it did the opposite. Where all the guys feel a little bit worse, right? Because when the adrenaline's pumping and you got games, in a row, I feel like they can kind of extend that feeling. Yeah. Next to when you have like 10 days off, and now I'm hurting every single day trying to play through it, and I have no reason to right now because our opponent is to be determined.
A lot of people, too, were saying Jack Eichel for Conn Smythe. I'm sorry.
There was like 9 or 10
He had
names.
a lot of points. He was leading his team in points. But at the same time, too, I'm like, a guy that deserves to win the Conn Smythe is a guy that Don't get me wrong. I noticed Jack Eichel. I knew he was there. But the two guys that stood out to me the most were Adin Hill and Jonathan Marchessault. It seemed like every time Marchessault had the puck, he was scoring a goal.
Marchessault scored, I'm not sure if he
13.
scored, was it 13 games?
13. He tied Leon Draisaitl's goal.
Oh, no, I was meaning in a row. He scored 10 games in a row.
Oh, yeah.
He scored a goal. And when the time I checked, it was 8 games. In the Cup Final, he had 8 games in a row he scored a goal. He didn't score a goal for the whole first round.
No, he was on an absolute heater, and
he had been on an absolute heater, and it kept going.
Exactly. So for me, it was Jonathan Marchessault, but the more that Adin Hill, the more he I guess saves he made, which that's how it should be. I was just like, man, this guy, without Adin Hill in net, the Panthers had a legitimate shot. They did. I think the Panthers had a good chance. And I mean, what better opportunity than, hey, you got a 4th stringer in net. Sorry, 5th for Spencer. Light him up. And he was like, no, man. He looked like a number 1, which has never been seen out of that guy before. So I thought Adin Hill should have won the Conn Smythe just because I don't think if he makes half of the saves he made, maybe even 3/4 of those saves, because the Panthers had a lot of quality chances, and he had to come in and play a solid amount of games without him standing like a brick wall.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
I personally was going to bet that he was going to win it. But
I'm okay with Jonathan Marchessault, though.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, he was on an absolute heater.
Yeah.
He literally had a goal in every single game from like the first game of the second round till the Cup final.
I'm fine with it.
He was fantastic, especially in the latter half of that run. But Al, before we go on to, as we talked about the CBA meeting, I wanted to ask you one more question.
One big question
before we jump off. With Aiden Hill playing so well.
Good. I thought you were gonna say like I'd have to do math or something.
Well, no, I would never let you do math.
No,
Jesus, Al,
we'd
waste the rest of the podcast.
We tried doing that yesterday on the show.
Oh God.
Yeah, not me personally. I tapped out right away. But
no duh.
The crew, Justin Ailish and our producer and board op tried to solve something. Anyways, it took a while and it just hurt my brain. I'm pretty sure like 3 brain cells crawled out of my brain. But anyways, let's get to your question.
The black smoke came out, nothing was turning. Anyway,
yeah.
So my last question here for you before we go on to the CBA is, with Aiden Hill playing so well for Vegas,
yep.
Do you believe that narrative that's come out now that everyone likes to push that goalies don't matter? You don't need to pay a goalie.
Who's saying that?
What do you mean? The vast majority. I feel like it's a majority thing. People
really?
saying you don't pay goalies.
I've always said you need a goalie. You do. Listen. I'll always refer to this too. Like I'll take this to my grave until someone comes along that's either better or just like that goalie, and that's Carey Price. Look at the Montreal Canadiens, man. They don't do half of the stuff they've done in the last decade if it's not for that guy. So yeah, goalies do matter. Do I think Aiden Hill should get paid?
No.
He deserves a raise, but not like a 5-year deal. Yeah. Let's not forget, he's either almost or he is 30 years old now.
And even in spite of that, he was the 5th string goalie for a reason. He was the 4th string goalie for a reason.
And at best, he's got maybe 4, 5 maybe without injuries, solid years left in the league until he ends up.
And what are those? Like, he's been a career backup his entire life. Like, what are those?
I don't know. I do think, can he run it back? Maybe.
No.
Can he replicate?
That was lightning in a bottle.
For
That's
sure.
What that was.
I don't know. I don't think he deserves to get paid a crazy ton of money. And I think, considering Vegas has been treating this like a business from the get-go, I don't think they will. If they decide to let him walk, there is a team dumb enough out there. Listen,
I want to know what Dum Dum does it. I want to know what Dum Dum does it.
Well, just don't throw him a 5x5. Don't throw him a crazy, like, a big, like, I don't think he should be making more than $15 million on his next contract.
He shouldn't be making over what, 5 years? That guy shouldn't make more than $3 million. I would not offer him more than 3. I'd aim for. I'm just being nice because I know 2.5.
Let's be real. Some teams need to hit the cap floor in this league.
Yeah, and they've got better goalies like Vremelka.
Yes.
Because I know you're talking about Arizona. Poor Arizona catching more strays over here.
Yeah, I mean,
and Vremelka's better than Aiden Hill.
Hey, they just
sorry.
They bought out Zach Kassian.
And that guy's a grinder. That guy's going back to Calgary right now. That guy's going to Edmonton.
Well, okay. Do you want to talk about Calgary?
No.
Have you been reading what's going on?
Let's not talk about that absolute dumpster fire of organization. We can leave them to the coals.
So we won't talk about them, but can I just go through a list real quick?
I'd love for you to.
Okay. Put it this way. Names that are likely not returning, and this is according to Frank Saravalli from the Daily Faceoff. Elias Lindholm, Noah Hannafin, Mikhail Backlund, Tyler Toffoli.
I was waiting for that one.
I need one more.
You need one more?
Isn't there not one more? Is that 4?
I counted 4.
I think that's good then. Anyways.
That's at least.
At least those guys that we know of aren't coming back.
Don't want to come back.
Don't want to come back. Tyler Toffoli has been granted, he has been, sorry. The Flames have told teams, yes, he's available.
Well, yeah, because all those guys said they don't want extensions.
Yeah. Which makes you go, like, what? If you're Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, and Jacob Markstrom, what are you saying right now?
If you're Markstrom, you're praying to God they don't cut you because how bad you played.
If you're Huberdeau, you just signed an 8-year, $10 million deal.
Exactly. He's making his money. Who cares?
Sure, but you also signed because you're like, I'm going to win at least a cup or 2 in that.
No, you're
span.
not. No, you're not.
You could have. I don't know. Like the fact that. So also, I just want to clarify. Noah Hannafin wants out because he wants to go back. He wants to go play in the States.
Well, yeah, he's American. He's an American player.
I know. So that's that. Mikhail Backlund kind of surprised me. Elias Lindholm a little bit, but not really. I don't know if he'll go to the Canadian market or not. I don't think he will. All I know is Habs fans are like, bring Tyler Toffoli back. no thanks. That's just from a Leafs fan's perspective, real quick. But anyways, unreal dumpster fire in Calgary right now. It's crazy.
It's kind of sad I had them falling off. I didn't think they were going to fall off this
Not
far.
this way. Not
Jesus.
this way. And you know what? If you're Boston, though, wow. Your team's supposed to be bad this upcoming season, or not as great as this one.
It's going to fall apart
right
this summer.
But now that you know this from Calgary, I'm sure, guess what? Boston's an American team. I mean, I don't know if they get Noah Hannafin.
They can't afford nobody.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
I could see Backlund.
They can't
But then
afford him.
I also think it's stupid because I find like Backlund's almost like another Charlie Coyle.
The problem is the Bruins don't have cap. They have
exactly.
they have like $8 million bucks to sign all these guys.
I tried to be nice, I guess, towards your franchise. But regardless, so Calgary, I send my thoughts and prayers
Do better.
to you. Do better. And shout out to Shan Vergy. Yeah. I hope all is well with...
Cry me a river, Shan. Cry me a river. I know you're not going to listen to this, but
Spencer doesn't care. All right. Spencer,
cry me a river.
Are we talking about the CBA now?
Yeah, we might as well talk about the CBA. I do eventually, depending on how long we go here, I do want to hear about Brad Treliving. Because last time we were here, we talked about supposedly Brad Treliving would be the GM of the Leafs.
Yeah, he scares me.
He is now officially the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And as you mentioned, Kyle Dubas is now in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
As we also speculated, he'd probably go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That
was a rumor before he even came out and was like, oh, Toronto's the only place I want to... be with.
Yeah, once he left Toronto, especially with the way him and Shanahan had an ugly divorce, he kind of knew he was going to Pittsburgh.
That whole thing was nasty.
Like he was going to Pittsburgh the moment that stuff happened.
Brad Treliving scares me.
A good way or a bad way?
And in a bad way. Because, if you look at his track record, keeping guys within the franchise is not his strengths as of late. The only thing I have good to say is I do have a good feeling that Austin Matthews is going to sign an extension before the season starts. It sounds like 5 years is the number again. Another bridge deal, which, I mean, I get. Why not bet on yourself?
What do you mean bet on yourself? It's more like if the Leafs suck,
I
can leave.
No, but if you think about it, though, he's also losing money if he takes an 8-year deal because he could go off and be better than he was this year. He can go back to the Rocket Richard numbers and, being the league leading scorer again. But already have been locked up for X amount of dollars. And you know what I mean? So, it would make sense for him to take a bridge deal. And I'm only saying this. I wouldn't have said this in the past. But I've been hearing so much sports talk here with the internship and so many insiders. I've heard Elliot Friedman. I've heard Jeff Merrick. I've heard Frank Saravalli. All of those guys are like, it makes sense if he signs another bridge. I don't want him to, but if he does, it makes sense. I understand the argument behind it. But yeah, Treliving I don't know. I'm waiting. I need him to do something. And it sounds, the last thing I read on the Leafs so far is that they're trying to move that number, or that 28th overall pick in the first round. Because it says, quote, they want immediate help. Okay, great. But your prospect pool is also kind of crap, which an old friend from CSM pointed out that it's actually quite good, but I don't think another prospect would hurt. And if he does end up being good, then you can move a piece because you know what you have. Right now, you just got to pick. It's worth, it's just a late first rounder. Could be good, could be bad. You don't know. There's not a lot of certainty, so I don't see what the Leafs can get out of that. But I also just don't. It's hard because their cap is awful. So you don't really know what can you get. Thank goodness Brandon Pridham is still within the organization for now.
Cap genius.
Yeah, Kyle Dubas just took Jason Spezza with him.
Well, Spezza left the day of.
Yeah, so. Shane Doan is with Brad Treliving now. I like that. I will say this. That's also why I like that, because Shane Doan, Austin Matthews grew up idolizing him.
I think that makes a difference.
It makes a hell of a difference, Spencer. Hell of a difference, because now you have someone, it's like another friend. First you had Kyle Dubas who built a bond, but Shane Doan and Austin Matthews already know each other. They've been talking since before even Shane Doan even got to Toronto, probably. Matthew Nye is another Arizona guy, right? So I like that, but I think Treliving kind of scares me a little bit just because of what he left in Calgary. I mean, look, everyone's leaving now. Everyone's leaving. The whole Sheldon Keefe thing, they're keeping him, they're extending him, which it's only a matter of time.
He went from I'm going to get fired to I'm getting extended in 2 weeks.
And apparently it's a 3-year deal. Hasn't been confirmed, but you might as well put pen to paper any day now. which also bothers me because I feel like if the Leafs have a rough first 15, 20 games of the season, bye-bye. And then what? And then what? So I'm waiting. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's learned from his previous mistakes. But until the draft or until there's something that happens in free agency, until we see who comes back and who goes, I swear, if Justin Hall and if Justin Hall, Alex Kerfoot are still back, are still on the team come this season, I'm going to be mad. Michael Bunting, I have like mixed emotions. He can stay, he can go. I don't think I'll care that much because there's a lot of grinders that you could find out there. You don't even have to draft them anymore. They just fall into your lap sometimes. Because let's be real, I don't think anybody knew who Michael Bunting was until Kyle Dubas brought him over.
Because Sault Marie, baby.
Yeah, I'm glad that narrative's dead too. Really glad that narrative's dead.
So far.
So far, yeah. But anyways, that's my take on Brad Treliving.
Very passionate take on Brad Treliving, might I add.
Man, could have been hotter than that, but whatever.
Yeah, we get it, Al. You could have put sriracha on it. I
Oh,
understand.
yeah. Could have spiced things up.
Yes. Yes, you could have. Big lazy.
Listening to the outrage on whatever platform you're listening to right now.
Well, and I do want to mention, you started flexing with your insiders. I'm going to start flexing with my insiders.
All right,
like
let's hear
Chris
it.
Johnson, like Darren Dreger.
You guys
like
have 7.
Michael, I believe Michael Johnson, who actually, ironically, had an argument with Hayes on Overdrive about this exact topic, and Hayes had the point of why is it him? Why is every other superstar like Nathan McKinnon signing 8-year deals? Why is every other superstar doing it, but he's not? Why is Austin Matthews the guy? Why is it him? Why can't he sign an 8-year deal like everybody else? Why can't he follow suit?
Yeah, and I mean,
which I think is a fair point. Well, you can say he's leaving money on the table, but the reality is McDavid signed an 8-year deal, Draisaitl signed an 8-year deal, Pasternak signed an 8-year deal, McKinnon signed an 8-year deal.
Yeah,
like all the other superstars are signing 8-year deals.
But they've also won. That's the thing. Like, listen, I get
not all of them.
I believe Austin Matthews when he says he wants to be a Leaf. I believe it. But I also believe that when he's saying that, he's like,
but
I don't know how much more I can take of this crap. But listen, he's not an idiot. He knows if he stays, he needs one big contract. And to be productive, if he signs an 8-year deal, if he's got 6 out of the 8, his number is going up to the rafters.
Now you got to win something. You got to win something.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you got to win something.
Did Matt Sundin win anything?
Yeah, but that was different. That team was garbage. If Matthew stays for 3 years with a bad hockey team, then it will. But
I mean, who knows? Right now, it looks like every Toronto team is kind of like, what the hell? Well, and we can talk about. Do you want to talk about the CBA?
Well, we might as well talk about it because I do think it's interesting that and we talked about it in the control room at TSN, might I add, with me and producer Chris, 20 Fingers. We were talking about how the NHL, if you didn't know, in their newest meeting, is now discontinuing specialty warm-ups. All of them. They stopped all of the specialty warm-up jerseys.
Yeah.
So that means there'll be no pride jerseys. Wink, 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 wink.
No military jerseys.
No cancer jerseys. No anything. It'll just be regular warm-ups all year long.
Yep.
Now, Al, I'm going to tell you what me and Chris said, which was it was a cop-out. What did you make of the announcement?
You know what? I'm going to go pull up my tweet for this because...
Of course.
It's got to be real,
Social media mogul. You're going to make Elon Musk want to fight you next.
Listen, since
Elon Musk going to want you.
I mean, no, he won't. He won't. Because I haven't been mentioning what... Oh, yeah, I just said, yeah. You're right. Okay, maybe you're right. Whatever. Okay, you know what? Everybody has those moments. I gotta find it.
You have a lot of them.
It's been a while there. It's been a while since I did it. It's coming. It's coming. Yeah, there you go. That's what we need. We need good soundtrack there. There you go, right here. This is my thought on that announcement. The NHL just took a fat shit on the whole hockey is for everyone line.
Gotta be honest here, Happy's editing this one. Happy Al's
editing this one.
And by the way,
what a time to make that announcement.
During Pride Month.
What a freaking time.
I actually just thought about that.
And all this for what? A handful of players who can't put others before themselves for one freaking night? Oh, wait. Scratch that. 15 minutes? Give me a break.
You didn't enjoy it, Al? You didn't like the announcement?
No. Because he gave in for what? Like I said, a handful of players? By the way, how fitting is it that Eric Stahl and Mark Stahl lose in the Stanley Cup Finals on Pride Month?
Mm.
How fitting.
They weren't the only ones, though. They weren't the only ones.
Nope. Ivan Provorov's another one, who, by the way, is now a Columbus
Blue Jacket.
Columbus Blue Jacket. It was a three-way deal, though.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's ridiculous because hockey is for everyone. Sports is for everyone. Just be who and what you want to be. I don't care. You're still a person, regardless.
Sadly. There you go. I got you to laugh.
That's your opinion. But no, so the thing is that throws me off. Oh no, teams can still have specialty nights. There just won't be any jerseys. I mean, for me, what's the point? For me, I think the jerseys is like the bow.
Well, it's the auction normally. Don't
that too, and it goes towards charity
and
all that. Like I think it's ridiculous. But to paraphrase what Gary Bettman said, the NHL commissioner, it was a distraction.
Well, yeah,
it became a distraction. It took away from the game. Listen, if you can't put certain social issues ahead of a hockey game, which, by the way, the social issue, if you think about it, that we're talking about that's in question is a freaking hockey jersey.
Literally, yeah.
A colorful hockey jersey.
Yeah, a rainbow.
My goodness.
A rainbow hockey jersey.
If I handed you a tie-dye jersey, which has similar colors to the pride flag, you probably would wear it because it's a tie-dye jersey.
And it probably looks sick.
Yeah.
Because, let's be honest, they were actually showing it on CP24 that we have up in the studio.
Yep.
And one of the jerseys they show is the LA one where it's purple with the logo being rainbow.
Yep.
That jersey looks sick.
I know.
I'd buy that
They're
jersey.
cool.
I don't even like LA. That's a sick jersey.
So I hope out of all of this that players request to have jersey. I hope franchises make jersey. I hope they stand up to Gary Bettman and go, yeah, you know what? We're going to do it.
We'll take the fine.
Or whatever, yeah. I hope it makes... I want others to look bad because, listen, it's 2023. This isn't new. This is something that's been talked about for years. More than that. Well, probably we're well over a decade now, for sure. For sure. And the fact that it still seems like new to some people, or like the fact that it's making noise now, it's ridiculous.
It definitely is. Why is it a problem now?
Why?
I'll say the pride jerseys have been a thing.
Do I think sometimes it might be forced, on others? Listen, even if if people do think it's forced, no one's forcing anything. They're just doing it. You're just seeing it more often. It's not being forced. It's just people are getting with the times. People are woke. People are getting woke.
Quote unquote.
Right? It's just people going, you know what? Yeah, we're pretty selfish. Like that. Listen, I get to love whoever I want. I get to go around and identify as what I want to identify as. No questions asked. So why can't others? Right? And again, like you said, why is it a problem now? Because Ivan Provorov didn't want to wear a freaking jersey. It's a jersey, 15 minutes, and it's for a good cause. And like I said, we talked about this on another episode. If you're not going to wear it, fine. But you have to pay a fine. $5K to a charity.
To the charity, yeah.
Not of your choice, because clearly you're not going to pick the right one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going back to the church.
Yeah, sure. So, that's pretty good. But sorry, I don't know why that made me laugh so much.
That was Provorov. That's all the reasons usually, normally.
It should go to whatever charity is associated with the National Hockey League that supports the LGBTQ2+ community.
Our joke at home with my roommate Jalen was that when all this stuff came out was like, oh great, so we're gonna hear people say that cancer is just not real. They don't want to wear the cancer jersey for whatever reason,
or it could be something like that, or
the military jersey. The military jersey. I don't support the military. I'm Muslim, so I don't want to do it. Like Muhammad Ali, who got put in prison and lost years of boxing because of not wanting to go to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Like, that actually happened. That was a thing.
Yep.
So imagine an athlete decided to say, you know what, I'm not wearing that jersey. I don't believe in that. Whatever war it happens to be. I don't care, military, not wearing it.
And I just have like I don't know about you, but for me, I have like my mom's voice of reason in my head in terms of like when I was a kid, my mom would be like, hey, stop for a second. Say what you just said out loud one more time. Like, listen to what you just said. And then eventually, after a few more times that you say it, you come to realize that you sound stupid.
Well, you should do that more often.
Sure. Probably. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten better at filtering stuff. But anyways, my point is, imagine going to someone saying, you know, I don't support this or it's against my religion, so I'm not wearing it. Well, is it for the whole game? No, it's just for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's just pregame. There's half the fans are there.
Are you kidding me? Look that I would have on my face if someone told me that. I would probably walk away and be like, yeah, just don't talk to me again. 15 minutes of your time. Anyways, I think we've gotten our point across. I think it's ridiculous. I can't believe Bettman rolled over for that. And I really hope that other teams within the National Hockey League, if they can, and you know, we'll see if they do. I bet you there's going to be at least a couple teams that'll be like, yeah, guess what? We're wearing the jerseys. I don't care what you say. And I'd like to see what the consequences of that will be. And if it's not that big of a fine or whatever, keep doing it.
And I think I'll end with this before we go on to the Raptors with their most recent draft pick. If it doesn't affect you, why do you care? Whatever it is, period. If it's somebody else's sexuality, if it's somebody else's quote-unquote rights, doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
So let's just let people be, period. Let people be.
Yep. Love who you want to love. Be who you want to be what you want to be, and just be happy. And that's all I wish is I wish nothing but happiness for everybody out there. And I think it's bullcrap that I think a lot of people have been let down by this announcement.
Definitely.
I've been let down in terms of like I thought society was getting better, but this is definitely like one of those where you took a step forward and you took like 5 back. But anyways.
Well, I was going to say, with you're saying don't worry, be happy, I was going to call you Bob Marley, but regardless. Now going on to the Toronto Raptors with the 13th overall pick, draft Grady Dick.
Grady Dick!
All the dick jokes, I assume, were made on the Fan 590 as well as they were on TSN 1050. There was quite a few jokes.
The Raptors made a dick pic.
Yep.
We're not blurring it out because that's his last name.
Yep, and apparently on TSN they put big, and then it was Grady Dick Energy. So
yeah, that's awesome.
That happened.
That's legendary.
Yeah, that would be a thing here in Toronto, as Grady Dick will ingratiate himself with the Toronto media.
It's funny too, eh? Like I was saying this when I walked in this morning. It's funny how Toronto teams just become a meme, right? And I also tweeted out today. I want to make that clear.
Of course you did.
The Toronto Blue Jays had R.A. Dickey, and now the Raptors got Grady Dick.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I'm always waiting for the Leafs. The Leafs got to do it. Leafs got to draft Oliver Blanc.
That'd be funny.
Even though he played for that ugly team you got in your shirt, by the way, which is London Knights. Anyway.
Kobe Barlow projected to go number 9 to the Detroit Red Wings. Would you be happy with that?
That'd be
great for him, eh?
I'd love to see him go to Steve.
Alex DeBrincat also apparently on the move over there.
Yep.
Anyways, enough hockey.
So, Al, do you have any analysis on the Grady Dick pick to... Yes.
I love just the way you said it. Anyways, it's fine.
Yes.
Do I have any analysis? No, I mean, from what I heard and from what I've seen from the 2 college games that I've watched, yes, I ended up watching a few.
Oh my God, you watched college ball
during March Madness? Yeah.
You mean the kid who begged you to watch a college game and you said absolutely not, and you finally did? Eh?
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that.
You gotta, sometimes you gotta get cultured, and it was my time.
Yeah, I can only dream.
Anyways, it sounds like he's a great shooter. He's got height 6'8". That's crazy. That's pretty good. I hear his defensive game needs a bit of work. But, I mean...
He's got the length.
I do think, though, like, Toronto... This is a smart get for Toronto because let's be real here. Let's look at Toronto's shooting in the last couple of seasons. Awful. And from what I mean, this guy shot 54%.
40 from 3.
Yeah. So, 40 from 3. Like, those are really good numbers.
Most threes made by our freshman at Kansas. 83 three-pointers made. He also was a half-decent rebounder. He averaged, I think, 8 rebounds a night at Kansas. He was his Gatorade All-American of the year in his recruitment year coming into Kansas, and he was the 13th ranked kid in his class, which means not only was he the best player overall in high school that year, he outbeat guys who were higher than him in the ESPN Top 100, which is the high school recruiting class.
Yeah.
And he had a good year with Kansas and Bill Self. And he was the first Jayhawk off the board. And I think personally would not have gone with that pick. I felt like they needed a point guard, a guy who could initiate offense. But Grady does fit a need, which was shooting. They were 28th in three-pointers made. They were 28th in three-point percentage. They needed to get some shooting, and Grady's got that in spades. And apparently, as Bobby Webster said to the media after the fact, after they drafted Grady, he said that we had Grady in a league of his own when it came to shooting. So obviously, when that guy falls to you at 13, falls relative.
You'd have to kind of take him.
You've decided at that point we're going to have to take him if he's the guy on the board for us.
And it makes sense, too, you saying that you need a point guard because, listen, Fred VanVleet.
Opts out, probably gone.
I think so. I don't think he's signing for more money in Toronto. I mean, and also, I mean, listen, I've said, I think all I could say about Grady Dick. I haven't really studied, most of his tapes. But from what I've heard in the last few days, it sounds like a really good acquisition. And again, like you said, if you're in a league of your own for shooting, if it falls for you at 13, doesn't get much better than that for the Toronto Raptors. And again, the Raptors.
And you'll hear our Maya and Cage's analysis on Polar Opposites on Friday.
Yeah, which
or
is
next Wednesday. Pardon me.
A new series that drops on the Outrage Incorporated.
Yep, Outrage Inc.
The brand keeps on growing.
That's the goal.
That's amazing. I love it. Yeah. So I don't. The thing is, the Raptors trying to run it back.
It's a bad idea.
Awful.
Bad idea.
Awful.
But they did get Trent Jr. back. He opted in, and he is looking for an extension. So that makes you wonder. Nick Nurse was the problem, obviously. He requested
according
a trade.
to Gary Trent Sr., that was the case.
Yeah.
That Nick Nurse was the issue. And it's true, too. Look at Rajakovic here that's coming in. He's a development guy. Perfect. Yeah. You're going to develop Grady Dick. Scotty Barnes' game is going to grow.
Hopefully.
By the way, Gary Trent Jr.
Young.
Only 24.
Yeah, he's a young guy.
Lots of growth, lots of room for growth.
Lots of strides.
Yeah. And, I mean...
Even Pirtle's relatively young. He's not old. He's not necessarily young.
Pirtle's also a weird one because he's also on the bubble. And I think this is my theory, too, the more I hear the talk about it. I wonder if Pirtle is more likely to stay now that the Raptors have said we're running it back.
Mm-hmm.
Because Pirtle doesn't want to be part of a rebuild. But now they're like, we're running it back. Okay, I'll come back then. Right? So, and Siakam's also young. Let's not forget. I really like the Rajakovic move here. I think it is, I think these guys can become a championship team with a few tweaks down the road. Not now.
Honestly, I think the Raptors' jump is going to be who they replace Fred VanVleet with. And more importantly, the guys they've drafted in the past couple of seasons who haven't really developed, like Malachi Flynn.
Malachi Flynn's
like Delano Banton. Like Chris Boucher, in fairness.
I try.
But if they all take a step forward,
but here's the problem:
the bench gets that much better. Because the bench has been a problem for the Raptors the last 3 years.
Well,
so if the bench gets better under Darko in one summer, then that's a massive improvement for the Raptors.
Well, they also hardly played.
Well, that's the point, though,
right? And that's why you can say Nick Nurse was the problem.
Yeah,
because I heard this today. I forget who was on that said it, but I think it was Michael Grange. He said, they come on, why does this always happen to me? Jeez. The bench guys had one bad game, you wouldn't see them for another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then how do you want to grow? How do you want to get their game to be better if they're not getting any playing time?
Consistent
minutes.
minutes.
I remember there were nights where VanVleet and Siakam, I think,
played over
48 minutes. That's insane. And it wasn't on the odd night.
That's a whole game, yeah.
It wasn't on the odd night. Like, there were times where, like, this was, like, once or twice a week kind of thing. Like, and it was like, what are you doing? So, yeah, I do think Nick Nurse was the problem. He's with Philly now, which is weird. Now VanVleet has ties to Philadelphia as well, and as a potential destination. And listen, if you opted out, I'm like, don't even come and try to ask me for a deal. You know what I mean? Like, you're not getting a raise. You're opting out. Like, they gave you that price because that's where you thought you fit. I'm sorry, Freddie, if you think you're worth more than that, to other teams you might be. You could be worth 30 mil plus a year. You could be. Just not with the Raptors. You're not.
They also can't really afford
You're
it.
not that guy. Your chance to prove that you were that guy was the last 2 years, and you did nothing.
Well, he had a good till the All-Star break. Then he got hurt after the All-Star break, and it kind of fell off after that.
Sure.
And then this year was a bad year.
I'm not looking. I'm tired of making excuses.
Well, no, that's
he
fair.
wasn't him. And don't get me wrong. Yeah, fine. Injuries happen. I understand. It's the nature of the sport. Fine. But still, you had your chance. You didn't bet on yourself this time. You took your bet on yourself contract, which is what you're still worth, in my opinion, considering all your injuries. So you want to get paid? Fine, go to another team. But you're not getting paid with the Toronto Raptors. You're not. Sorry. And I'll be surprised if the Raptors even come close to sniffing a playoff spot this year. Maybe the play-in.
Which, honestly, again, it's a good thing. The lower you are, the better chance you've got of getting a higher draft pick, which means you can get a game changer in the draft.
Or if you're really close, you deal
and try to get better.
And try to get better right instantly. But we'll see. I really like. I don't know what direction they're heading into. It seems like development and hoping that it's not as bad of a product as it seems to be on paper.
And that is, they seem to hedge. And hedging normally goes very badly. But Masai Ujiri, in fairness, has gotten a level of security, for better or for worse.
With this draft pick.
So we'll see. No, just in general. With the championship, he's been here basically, I'll say since ground zero with this particular
But let's not
group.
forget, though, he said, he did say, again, I'm going to paraphrase, I don't have the quote, but he did say, well, once the finals are done, a lot of teams want to make changes, a lot of teams want to make moves. And, we're hoping to do more in free agent season, which is coming up.
Yeah, but reports have also come out how hard the Raptors are to deal with.
Yeah, there's also that, which makes sense. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. They got a tough road ahead, but I'm definitely not even a Raptors fan, but like as a basketball watcher, and from what I've heard in the last few days, I'm a lot more comfortable with where this team might be heading compared to before the draft by drafting the homeboy Greedy Dick. Anyways.
The Kansas Jayhawk. Now on to another Toronto team who has seemingly struggled. They've won the last two, but before that they went on a, I believe, hefty losing streak. The Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, yes.
Started a 3-game homestand against the amazing Oakland Athletics.
They've gotten better.
Which one?
The Oakland Athletics.
Oh, yeah, when they won, 7 in a row, and all of a sudden they've gone back on losing 5 in a row or something? So,
I mean, I don't know. They're still bad, but they're
a bottom-feeding franchise, and they're going to continue to be that way until they move.
They're still a pulse. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, a pulse to go to Vegas, but regardless. What have you made? Obviously, you're with the rights holder, so you happen to have a real inside scoop on the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yes.
What have you seen of this team lately? Do you have confidence in this particular team? Because it always seems like they win 3 or 4, they lose 4 or 5, they win a couple, they lose a couple in a row. It doesn't seemingly they have a consistency. They seem to be consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't like what I'm seeing at all. Listen, their best players so far, which is weird to say because it didn't seem like it was going to be that way at the beginning of the year, but Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios are 2 of their better players right now so far for that team, for that roster. And the thing is, too, like, what's good for the Blue Jays is that it's always one or the other. It's not both at the same time in terms that their pitching's bad, but the bats are there. Or their bats aren't there, but the pitching is there, and then they somehow just squeak a win out once in a while. I think that's how. But if I look at the Miami series, and they took on the Marlins, getting that split or that series win, it was ugly. Like, and the thing is too, I think the Jays. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, Kevin Gausman, 100 pitches, 6+ innings, good start." I'm like, you look at 3 or 5 fly balls that were hit to Whit Merrifield and left. If that's any other ballpark or at least Rogers Center. Those are clearing the fence, not by a lot, but they're hopping the fence. Like, there's a few balls that were hit in that ballpark in that game, and I'm like, man, if that's any other ballpark, that might be gone over the fence. So everyone's like, oh, Gausman, good outing. I'm like, no, you're forgetting how big that ballpark is. So in terms of pitching, I think the Jays are still in a good spot. I'm tired of hearing the whole, 4-man rotation. Oh, well, they got a bullpen day here and there, blah, 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 blah. Like, we get it. Alek Manoah's in Dunedin. He's working on himself, trying to find his game back. And, And that's the other thing, too, that people are like, oh, he might be back Canada Day weekend. Do not bring him back for that game. Do not bring him back. He's not ready. It's too big of a test. It's a big thing. It's going to be a sold-out crowd. So don't do that. As for the bats, you look at, the Jays. Oh, they had a 5-run second inning in that series-winning game against the Miami Marlins. Okay, let's look where those balls were hit, shall we? Because 3 out of those 5 runs that were scored, the ball barely left the infield. They were like, they weren't, I don't even want to call them bloops. They weren't. They just to say hit the right spot in the gap where the shortstop or third baseman couldn't get to it, and it got by, or it would split the short and second. Like, it would just to say get by. You look like if they make a dive for it, they might block it and actually have a chance to make a play. So I think right now, though, the Jays too, and at first it was John Schneider making poor decisions with the pitching change and like who's in the lineup. The worst part is, this is embarrassing too. The fact that Brandon Belt is considered your team MVP, self-proclaimed, mind you, is embarrassing. And the fact that Brandon Belt comes back into the lineup off the 10-day IL and you're going, thank goodness he's back, that's awful.
That's a problem.
Like, that says all you need to know about the Blue Jays season right now. It's garbage. Absolute garbage. And there's one guy that called it from the get-go before the season even started. His name is Josh Morano. He knew. He said it. I remember the conversation. He said the Jays aren't going to be that good. I go, well, what? You doubt it, but look, the thing is, Spencer.
The thing is,
their approach at the plate, they don't know what they're doing anymore. Like, you look at when Sandy Alcantara was on the mound the other day for the Marlins. They didn't have an approach. They were just swinging. And it just so happened they made contact, poor contact. But it's awful. They're talking. You hear John Schneider talk about, oh, well, they have it was a good team approach when they're going up at the plate. You do realize that all your runs came in the second inning and then you did nothing. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to be an all-star.
Hasn't hit a home run at home. Has not hit a home run in the new Archer Center, I don't believe.
No. He still sits at 9. Hasn't hit a home run this month. Come on, man. What are we... The worst part is the fan base is calling for change. They want something to be done. Why are you voting them to the All-Star game, guys? What are you doing? Clearly, the message isn't going to get through to them, so what's the second best way to get the message? You want them to hear you? Stop voting.
What do you want? Vladimir Guerrero Jr. sent home?
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. does not deserve to be an all-star this year. I'm sorry. The fact that he's leading...
Well, who would you want traded then?
I don't care. Find someone else. Find another first baseman in the league that's good.
Come on.
Dude, there's better than Vladdy out there right now.
Come on. Vladdy's a top 5 first baseman in baseball. You do not trade Vladimir Guerrero Jr., dog.
No, I'm not saying trade him.
Like, dear Lord.
No, I'm not saying trade him. I'm just saying he's not a fucking all-star.
Well, who cares about the all-star game? Nobody watches it. Those games are jokes.
But it's the fact that he's an all-star. You got a guy with 9 dingers and 42 ribbies going to an all-star game. Are you kidding me right now?
There's a reason why.
But it's messed up because the fans are calling for Vladdy's head, and yet they're voting him in.
Yeah.
The only Blue Jays, there's 3 of them. The third one's kind of because I think he deserves it.
Okay.
In terms of like where his game has come. You might already know who I'm talking about. Bo Bichette should be an all-star. Kevin Gausman should be an all-star. I think he should be in the Cy Young conversation.
And the third?
Whit Merrifield.
I love Whit Merrifield, so you know what? I can get behind that. I love that guy.
He's been great. He's been better than last season. He's improving. He's one of the better bats in the lineup, which is, again, says all you need to freaking know about how the Jays are doing right now.
He's a great contact hitter.
Yeah. So I'm going to end this rant at this point. I don't think the Jays are bad, but I do think they're not. I don't think they're good. I do think that people need to stop the whole narrative of John Schneider this lineup, John Schneider that. No. Who builds this team? Who runs this team? Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro. You're watching the same thing we are watching.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I don't need to be a baseball expert to know that it could be better. And there are ways to make this team better before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And before the trade deadline. Do something. do something. And this was my last point. They need screw the approach, screw looking for a pitch. You're going up to bat to make contact. Hit the ball past the infield. They don't even know how to play small ball anymore. They don't. They can't hit for power. They can't try to hit a home run because they can barely hit for power. They can't even play small ball anymore. Learn how to play small ball again. They kind of did in that series winner against the Marlins. They did. They put guys on base. They brought them in without hitting a home run, except for Matt Chapman's. That 6-run Chapman sent it over the wall. He was the best player of that game. But screw the approach. Don't even think. Don't look for a pitch. Don't look for a curve. Don't look for nothing. You see the ball. It's in the strike zone. Swing. If it's low, down and away, leave it. If it's high and in, leave it. Take those risky borderline calls. Half the time, they'll probably go your way anyways. It depends what kind of umpire you get.
Angel Hernandez.
Sure, except that guy. Anyways, that's it. You just go to hit the ball. Look for a strike. If you're going to look for anything, look for something that's in the strike zone. But even Vladdy, you can tell at first he was talking to himself to try to hype himself up. Now it's like, dude, now you're talking to yourself because you don't know what else to do. You have no clue what you're doing. And again, I'm not a major leaguer. I'll never be a major leaguer. I've only played men's league baseball. But I also believe that I've played enough and I've watched enough baseball and I've heard enough takes and analysis on the game. I've studied the game. I wanted to become a guy that knew a bit of baseball. And I think that the Jays are thinking too much at the plate and they need to just simplify it even more. More than just try to make contact, try to do this, try to do that. Just if it's a strike, swing. Fix your eye. But it's ugly right now. And if they lose one game to this Oakland team, holy shit.
I hope they lose the series just to see you explode.
To be honest, I don't really care. It doesn't change anything in my life. I have no. The worst part is too.
Uh-oh.
Dude, they're only a game out of the wild card spot.
Yeah.
But it feels like they're the Oakland A's right now, where they've lost 50 plus games already this season.
Well, that's because you're in the AL East.
But anyways, okay. No, I was done talking. That's the thing. They lose to AL East teams, but they also can't beat teams outside of their division. Dude, they barely beat the Minnesota Twins.
I mean, they have a winning record against every other division except for the AL East.
Fair, but like they're still not pretty. Okay, now there's gonna be that guy. Oh, a win's a win.
Win is a win.
But
yeah, look at the same on the scoreboard.
The Jays are supposed to be what the Baltimore Orioles are right now.
And you know what's funny? You and I predicted that. You and I said how good if that team has a good start, how good they're going to be. Because they're going to get better as the season goes on with all those young guys. And Gunnar Henderson showing up, and Adley Rutschman showing up, and they're improving.
Yep.
And they're already good.
Yep. Yeah. No, we called it. And we knew the Orioles weren't going to take a step off because guess what? It's the Orioles.
And they're young. So
someone's got to cause the Jays some problems. So, I mean, I think there's time to salvage this season. I don't think it's time to hit the panic button, but if you're a fan, I think you have the right.
It's getting closer, though. That's the problem with baseball.
You have the right to be mad.
You start off like, oh, there's so many games, and then you get close to the All-Star break, and you're like, okay, let's start turning something around here. Or
that's the thing, dude. The All-Star break's like 4 weeks away.
Yeah, the draft's coming up. So, like
TikTok.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is baseball is so long, yet so short. Once you get to a certain spot near the All-Star break, everything starts getting really, really fast. You start losing more time in the hourglass, it feels like. And now going on to our last topic. Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. If you didn't know, the newest season of Tough is out, and it's Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor. Team McGregor versus Team Chandler. And usually, not always, but usually, the coaches of the Ultimate Fighter fight each other. Normally, it's one division, like Chandler versus McGregor's lightweight. They do all lightweights. They train them. They're their coaches. They bring their coaches in to help them, and then they fight. And then they have the Tough final where those guys usually get contracts, especially if they have really good runs in Tough. But as Al, I think, told me, but I already knew, Conor McGregor is not in the USADA pool. Now, what is the USADA pool? The UFC opts for a government-funded testing, which is called USADA. And they test all of the fighters year round, and you need to be in the USADA pool for, I believe it is at least 3 to 6 months to be eligible to fight in the UFC. Conor McGregor has still not started the clock on the USADA. He's not in the USADA pool, which means he is not eligible to fight in the UFC for a minimum of 3 to 6 months. That is not including the surgery he had for the broken fibula/tibia he had against Dustin Poirier in his last fight. So this fight at this point isn't going to happen. And I believe, Al, I'm not sure if you were going to mention this, but I saw it on Chael Sonnen's channel, who I love, is that Eddie Alvarez went out on, I'll say Twitter, but went out and said, I will step in and fight Michael Chandler on short notice if McGregor's not ready to go. And Eddie Alvarez, former UFC lightweight champion, lost to Conor McGregor famously when McGregor became the two-belt champion at featherweight and lightweight. But he was in bare knuckle, I believe Eddie Alvarez was, and won championship before that. So he could easily jump back into the UFC cage if Data wanted to go that way.
Yeah, and I mean, it just makes me laugh a little bit because it's like, Eddie, where you been, buddy? Like, settle down, okay? Michael Chandler would pummel you.
Probably. Most likely.
Easily. And there's also a video that surfaced on, again, Twitter, because, I mean, Twitter is like a very good news
Big
source.
Elon.
USADA showed up to Michael Chandler's door with a bunch of tests.
Yep, and he posted it on Twitter.
Yeah. And he wasn't impressed, and he called out Conor McGregor saying, hey, man, I don't care when this happens, but, like, where you at, boy? That was the end. That's how the video ended. And at this point, I'm just going, man, McGregor is ducking Michael Chandler.
But he's been ducking everybody. Like, he doesn't want it.
Can you blame him? You lost to Dustin Poirier 3 times. Don't get me wrong.
Twice.
Dustin...
Twice.
Did they not have a trilogy?
He won the first fight.
I know McGregor won the first fight, but did they not?
They fought 2 more times. McGregor lost in the second round by TKO, and then he started talking.
Then he broke his leg.
Then he started talking, and then he broke his leg.
Right. Okay.
Your wife sent me DMs.
I mean, I guess it was so bad I might have thought it was 3 times. I don't
Probably.
know. But anyways, so you lost to Michael. No, you lost to Dustin Poirier twice, dude. You're done. You're done. You can't even be done. And like I was gonna say before I was corrected. Thank goodness Spencer corrected me. You just don't have it anymore. Yeah, but also credit to Dustin Poirier. He's improved a lot as a fighter since
his first loss.
the first McGregor meeting.
And I do want to mention here, Al, not to steal your train of thought.
No, go ahead.
But McGregor was a killer at featherweight, which is 145, which is right now the division that's led by Alexander Volkanovski.
Which, by the way, Volkanovski looks bigger than Conor McGregor, even though McGregor's been on whatever the heck he's been on.
Probably some sort of PED, which is PED.
Which is why he's avoiding
USADA. Which is why he's avoiding USADA, exactly. It's because he's been on some sort of growth hormone, if that's testosterone or if that's steroids, we don't really know, and it doesn't really matter. But regardless, McGregor was a killer at featherweight. And then he went up to lightweight and beat Eddie Alvarez. And people don't like to remember that McGregor never defended the lightweight championship. And the only fighters he's beaten at lightweight are Eddie Alvarez and Donald Cerrone. He didn't beat Dustin Poirier. He beat Poirier at featherweight, went up to lightweight, lost twice.
And depending on who you ask, if you ask me anyways, that Cerrone fight, I don't really count it. That
Poor Donald was over the hill.
Poor Donald, yeah, he was.
And that's no disrespect to Cerrone, who is a legend in the MMA
absolutely.
world.
Yeah, you got, for sure.
We're not pulling a Stephen A. Smith on this show.
No.
But regardless, you also have to bring into a fact, Conor McGregor lost to Khabib in decisive fashion. And yes, he did take a round off Khabib, the first round ever taken off of Khabib's record. But Khabib did what Nurmagomedov does, which was throw him against the cage, pick him up, put him down, and that was the end of that. McGregor's not getting up the ground. And then he mauled him, which is exactly what he does to everybody, what he did to everybody until he retired, which I hope he's enjoying his retirement, by the way. But, when you look at the top lightweights right now, if you don't include Dustin Poirier, he's not going to beat Oliveira. He's not going to beat maybe Michael Chandler. He's not going to beat the second coming of Khabib Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachev. Like, he's not. He's not beating those guys. He's not going to beat Alexander Volkanovski, who is 5'6" and shouldn't be winning at featherweight and would dust him at lightweight, because I saw that guy go 5 rounds with Islam and almost beat him.
Yeah,
And he's got 5 inches less than Islam.
yeah, and Michael Chandler would take care of business. I mean, listen,
You definitely think so.
Michael Chandler just wants to beat the living crap out of this guy.
I think everyone does. Everyone, and that's what's funny. It's everyone. McGregor wants
But it's
the
to make a
narrative
name.
to
But
be.
here's the problem: like you fight McGregor, you're not making a name for yourself anymore. Like, listen, the only reason why Michael Chandler is going to make a name for himself is because he followed through his call out that happened like way back when. Now,
Way long ago.
you know what I mean? Like that's the only reason why Michael Chandler is technically going to be a name after the McGregor fight is because he finally got to follow through his call out and it finally happened. Anybody else that fights Conor McGregor, like I'm sorry, if Cerrone would have beat McGregor, yeah, then you would have had a name because Cerrone was run down like he was on his way out.
He was older, yeah.
That would have been insane. That would have been a huge upset. But even Dustin Poirier, do you really like? Okay, you give him credit for the first fight, but the second one when he broke his leg, like, do you really like? He half made a name for himself.
See,
Because look, he can't win a belt. When it matters the most, he can't get it done.
yeah, poor
Are you
Diamond.
really a name?
The Diamond's really had problems staying in that lightweight belt, and he's been close a couple of times. But regardless of that, the thing I want to mention here the most about McGregor is everyone keeps saying you're calling out Conor McGregor because he's the biggest name of MMA. I think it's because of what Chael Sonnen publicized when he was going for the middleweight championship. I want the easiest fight in front of the biggest crowd for the most money. That's why guys want Conor McGregor, because it'll be the easiest fight for the biggest crowd for the most money. Because the reality is at lightweight, at this point in McGregor's life where he has the silk sheets and doesn't have that fight anymore, obviously does not have that fight anymore. He has shown that to us repeatedly, that he does not have that dog that he used to have when he won the featherweight championship all those many years ago. It's not there anymore, which makes sense. When you're fighting for a cause and that cause is gone, it's really, really hard to get that fire back. And I don't think McGregor will ever get that fire back. And the sooner he realizes it, the better, because he'll take a lot less of a beating. Like, if he got in there with Michael Chandler, if he got in there with Islam somehow, if he got in there with Charles Oliveira, if he got in there with even Dustin Poirier for a fourth time, like, he would lose. And even figment of his imagination to go up to 170, oh my God, he'd get crushed. Like, think about the top 170 pounders right now in the world. Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, Kobe Covington. Those guys would murder him.
Yeah.
Kobe Covington would ragdoll Conor McGregor 5 rounds.
Well, Kobe
Kamaru
Covington
Usman would knock him out cold with the right hand. Leon Edwards would dust him and make him look silly.
Kobe Covington is literally another Michael Chandler in my books.
He's better. Because he's got a faster pace. Kobe Covington puts a pace on you. And not a lot of guys can stay with it.
But his cardio sucks. Or is it Chandler? No, Covington's got cardio. Chandler doesn't.
Yeah, no. Kobe Covington sets tone.
Chandler's got a chin.
Yeah, he takes a beating like Michael Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, another name that Conor McGregor couldn't beat. No. Justin Gaethje would murder.
Yeah,
oh my God, that'd be a firefight, and I want to see Gaethje put his lights out.
Yeah, that would. Well, okay, I will say this, and this is probably my last thought on that. My two last thoughts. My first one, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I'm tired of hearing this talk. It's not happening.
No,
Michael, I'm sorry. I feel really bad for you. It's not happening. No. Find yourself another fight. I can't believe, though, the UFC even tried. The UFC did find a loophole. They knew they weren't going to get it done. So they're like, hey, we'll put you in a competition where, guess what? You have to fight. You've signed this dotted line. You have to fight. But now, he's not even in USADA.
Well, hey, you know what's sad is he keeps saying, I want to fight 4 times a year. I want to get back in back in the UFC schedule. And it's like, but no, you don't.
No, you don't.
Actions speak louder than words, and your actions, Connor, are showing us that you have no interest in getting back in the ring. And that's fine, but just be honest about it. Don't try to pull the wool over everyone's eyes and act like you're going to get in the cage when it's blatantly obvious that you have zero intentions of getting back in the cage, even at a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity like Brock Lesnar. You're never going to get back in the cage again. And that's fine. You don't need to. You've got your money. You've got your sponsorships. You've got your deals.
Oh, he's set for life.
Like, you can go off into the sunset and be who you want to be. Be drunk 24/7 if that's what you want. I wouldn't say that's healthy, but if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do.
If you want to punch out mascots.
Yeah, if you want to create more allegations than O.J. Simpson, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. But don't act like, don't try to continue this narrative that I'm going to get back in the cage. And not only is he going to get back in the cage, Al, he's going to get back in the cage 4 times a year again, like he's a hungry fighter.
It's not happening.
Like, it's just, it's unrealistic.
And I watched his documentary.
I didn't watch that propaganda garbage.
I watched
Dear
it.
Lord.
No, it was actually good. And the reason why I say this is because you brought up this point, and it's actually very good because they have this to back it up. His coaching staff actually at one point thought, he doesn't have it, doesn't have the passion, doesn't want to do it. And the only way we want him to do it is if he wants to do it for himself. And I think we've reached the point now where we can say that McGregor just doesn't want to do it anymore. He doesn't want to. He says he wants to, but like you said, his actions haven't proven that.
I think he thinks he wants to, but he knows he doesn't. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, fair enough.
You think you want to do something. Oh, I want to do that.
But then you get there and you're like,
and then you get to that point, and you're like, you know what? I'd rather stay at home in my bed with my with him, with my wife and my kids.
Yeah.
And you know what? Again, that's fair enough. But just be honest. Just say, you know what, guys? I think I'm done. I've had enough.
Yeah.
I've got my money. I got my belts. I don't got it anymore. And I'll say just my last point. Prince Hassim Ahmed, perfect example. Ahmed, former world champion in boxing, lost one fight. Lost one fight to Barrera and retired because he said, "I don't have it anymore. I'm done. I thought I had it. I fought Barrera. I got my money. I don't want it anymore. I don't have that fire. I don't have that will that I used to have. I'm done." And his record has one loss, and it was his last fight ever because he knew to himself, he could admit it, that I'm done. He was young. He was like 32. But he said in his head, I don't have that fire anymore. And you know what? I'm okay with that. As much as you'd love to see that guy keep fighting because he probably still had ability, unlike I'd say Conor now because he's waited way too long past his clock.
Oh, when Chandler first called him out, I was like, McGregor's got a chance.
Well, think about it.
Like, Chandler, watch out. But now it's like, dude.
Since he fought Eddie Alvarez, you can count on one hand how many fighters he fought. Since he fought Eddie Alvarez, I believe that went straight to Floyd.
Yep.
And then since Floyd, he fought what? Cerrone?
No, but before that there was
yeah, I was gonna say there's one more fight before Cerrone, but there's Cerrone and two Poirier fights.
Didn't he have Nurmagomedov?
Yeah, he would have fought Khabib.
Yeah, he fought Khabib twice, did he not?
No, he only fought him once.
Only once. Why do I think they have more fights
than
they did? But he fought Khabib, lost that one.
Fought Floyd, lost that one. Fought Poirier twice, lost those two.
Yeah.
And then you've got Cerrone, I think there was one more before Cerrone. I don't know.
No, Cerrone came before Poirier too.
But I can't remember. I think he had one more win. I think. But regardless.
But anyways, yeah, he
fought like 5 or 6 times.
And that was it.
And that was, I believe he won the lightweight championship back in 2016 was Eddie Alvarez. Might have even been earlier.
It's been a while, man.
It has been like 6-7 years
been a hot minute,
since he was active in the UFC. That's a problem.
You just made me think of another storyline, but I don't know if we want to.
Well, Al, it's up to you. If you want to go with it.
All right, real quick. Juliana Pena.
Oh, this joke. Yeah, let's get into this.
Do you want to?
Oh, but okay.
Because I already know where I'm going with this. Like, this whole crap about her, like how she's now the pound, like how Nunes is ducking her and stuff. It's like, Pena, just shut your mouth. Because Nunes could easily fight her next week.
Hey, you know what's funny?
And Nunes would destroy her.
Did you hear what Amanda said before the fight? After the fight, when she retired? When she heard what Pena said? She said she was supposed to be in this fight. And if I fought her tonight, I wouldn't have retired. I wanted to fight a fighter I hadn't fought before and then retire. She could have been in the ring tonight, but she's hurt.
Yeah. So
she chose not to be here.
Anyways, I
sit in the front row.
I think that whole thing is a joke in terms of like Nunes doesn't owe anybody anything.
She's the greatest women's fighter ever.
Absolutely. She doesn't owe anyone anything. She definitely doesn't owe Juliana Pena anything. Listen, yes, you submitted her in your first fight. Fine. But then guess what? Next fight, you got your ass kicked.
5-round beating. Like you earned what you got in that first fight.
Yeah. Like, it's like, why do you want to do it again? She said it, Nunes said it herself too, and I believe her. Like, some people, you'll hear some people say, like, oh, I wasn't ready for the first one. I was ready for this one. Most fighters that say that, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I believe you. Or, sorry. I'll be like, yeah, sure, whatever. But then when Nunes says it, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I believe you. Because it's true. No one expected, did you really think the Lioness was going to get tapped?
Well, but not only that.
No way.
Well, what happened was, genuinely, and I can believe this because I watched it. You watched the first round of that fight, and Amanda is just crushing Juliana. She's landing bombs. Pena is getting dusted. But she's able to withstand the pressure. And Amanda genuinely thought, I'm going to throw a massive storm her way, and she's not going to be there anymore. But the tornado went through the first round, and Pena was still there. The house still stood. And Amanda went, oh, no. Oh, I was not prepared for this. And then she gasped.
Yeah.
She obviously gasped. For that second fight, she knew, oh, okay, so I know now I got to pace myself, but I can touch you whenever I want, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just got to make sure I don't gas myself. And that's exactly what she did. I don't gas. I touch you when I want. I'm going to win an easy decision.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. It was an easy decision.
But anyways, the whole fact that, like, that was a story and, like, it was, like, I can't believe people were giving Pena that spotlight, too, to, like, run her mouth. It's like...
And you know what's sad, Al?
She didn't, like...
Is Dana White came out after the fight and said that she's not even going to be in the new belt.
No, she's not even in the picture.
She's not even going to be in the fight for the belt.
Yeah, he basically was like, yo, shut your mouth. Like, we're not doing this. You're going to get... No.
So, like, not only did she get laughed at by Amanda Nunes.
She got laughed at by the guy that runs the show.
She got laughed at by the UFC as an entity because they've said, not only are you not going to be in the new belt that's going to be handed out when they eventually have a challenger versus challenger fight for the vacant belt, like, she's not going to be there. She has to work her way back to it.
Yeah.
Like, that's a problem.
And I want to close this off with this, with the one more fighting topic. I'm not talking about it. I just want to say I saw this, again, via Twitter.
Elon Musk getting a lot of mentions.
There's a fight scheduled in September now. Valentina Shevchenko is getting her rematch with Alex Grasso for the lightweight title.
And Shevchenko's going to dust her.
So that should be interesting. Is it lightweight or featherweight?
Feather. Nope. It'd be lightweight. Nope.
Now I'm confused now. The only reason why I'm second guessing
it... bantamweight.
Nama Yunus is also fighting. She's moving up to lightweight.
Flyweight. Yeah, it's strawweight, flyweight, bantamweight. Shevchenko's in bantamweight.
Okay, well, I should have just left it at, the rematch was happening, because clearly I just go show how much, I might not know the divisions. At least I know who's fighting. So that's good, I guess. Anyways, Spencer, I don't know when we're doing this next.
I'm hoping next Friday.
Okay, me too. So we'll see how that works out. But we got almost a good hour and a half out of that. So
yeah, first episode in a couple weeks. So once we get back in the swing of things, hopefully we keep it under about an hour.
I'll get rid of that F-bomb after we stop recording.
Thank goodness.
And I actually got to show you a trick that I learned on Burley.
Ooh.
You might already know it, but anyways, I don't want to talk about it on here because I might sound like an idiot if you know it. So it's fine. But this was fun. I love how you sign on and I sign off. But I think we got a good thing going when it comes to that.
Whatever you think.
I think it's good.
It's okay, Big Al.
This was, I can't wait to see what we name this episode to.
Well, it's okay. I'll come up with something.
We'll come up with something. Grady Dick. And you break your leg.
Oh, I'm gonna have to kick. I'm gonna break his leg after the show. Okay. I'll be living out of this office.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the outrage. We will have this episode up when we have it up. Hopefully within the next 24 hours after we record this. We probably will. I'm editing this literally as I stop hitting recording. But this was episode number 13 of The Outrage from Alain, Kevin, Big Al, whatever the heck you want to call me at this point, and the one and only Spencer Byers. We'll talk to you next time.